Martin Pretchell writes, "To truly and freely grieve as an entire people can revive an entire culture, just as much as it can bring back to life an individual." Tonight, we witness the cross as the cry of the one who suffered and was crucified because of the social and political circumstances of the day. A political interpretation of the cross that takes historical injuries and imposed suffering seriously, focuses on the intersection between social structures and human experience. It calls reality by its name and dares to say what it sees. The cross critiques all systems and symbols that prevent the scene. Historical injuries are emotional, spiritual, and physical. The re-present of the cross inflicts physical torture of one human body, radiating pain across history throughout whole communities. Jesus went to the cross not for the sake of suffering, but for the sake of justice, to reveal the suffering of others and to challenge us to bear witness to the suffering of our time. We cannot understand the sacrifice of the cross without standing in solidarity with those who are crucified today because of systemic violence and social indifference. To bear witness to the unjust suffering of our day is an activity focusing on a greater cause, a just and loving cause. The cross, a symbol of defeat and failure, is a powerful sign of love and justice, a place where vision occurs. Solidarity through this vision, as it retains the meaning of sustenance, means removing the body from the cross and finding its shelter and protection. It means removing bodies from their crosses today.
Elias Armstrong, September 7th, 2010 to February 5th, 2023. Elias Armstrong was a smart, lovable kid who lit up a room with his smile. He often spoke of plans to go to college, travel, and have his own family. His teachers at the Bruce Randolph School in Denver remember him as a good student with a keen interest in finances. Elias is preceded in death by his biological mother, who died in September of a fentanyl overdose, and by his stepbrother, who died in October in Westminster, Colorado, during a police pursuit. To earn money to offset his mother's job at 7-Eleven, Elias became involved in a local gang that paid him to commit crimes. On the day of his death, he was with his crew when they stole an Audi from the Northfield Shopping Center. The owner of the car, a white vigilante, tracked Elias's stolen car from the affluent Central Park neighborhood on the eastern edge of the city to a small working-class community on the opposite side of town. When the vigilante arrived at the location of his stolen car, Elias was standing in plain view next to the vehicle. Security footage shows the vigilante drawing his weapon while running full speed toward the stolen car when a single bullet was fired from the back of the stolen vehicle. In return, the vigilante fired his weapon 15 times into the windows of his car. Elias was shot in the arm, chest, and side of his body. Left alone after his crew fled on foot, Elias escaped by driving 2 blocks away to 12th and Decatur, where he was pulled out of the car and died on a Denver sidewalk in the arms of a stranger out walking his dog. Elias Armstrong died on February 5th, 2023. He was 12 years old. His coffin was 4 feet long. The Denver District Attorney's Office determined there There wasn't sufficient evidence to charge the owner of the stolen vehicle with criminal charges. Alicia Henderson, Elias's sister, tells the people attending her brother's memorial service that she is glad he's with my mom, that she finds comfort in knowing Elias gets to see her again.
Haley Scott. November 16th, 1995 to March 21st, 2023. Haley Scott was a bright light who loved and embraced everyone. She was an avid skier and mountain climber with an infectious laugh and a heart more compassionate than anyone could have imagined. Haley was a courageous and compassionate activist who publicly shared her journey as a transgendered woman. Although she is most known for the 2022 Trans Day of Visibility film produced by United Airlines, she regularly shared her story through social media posts and appearances on podcasts. To create hope for others on journeys like her own, Haley spoke candidly about her experience transitioning. She risked vulnerability to strengthen others by disclosing her experiences of being bullied and hiding who she was until it all built up to a point where she felt she couldn't hold on any longer. Even as transphobia drowned Kaylee's spirit, she continued to share her story, not for herself, but for those out there who are still fighting social norms and the boundaries set upon them. Haley dedicated her life to ensuring that all people, however they identify, knew their lives counted and their stories mattered. Haley Scott completed suicide in her apartment in Denver, Colorado on Monday, March 20th, 2023. She was 25 years old. Before completing suicide, Haley posted an apology to everyone she had let down, sharing that she was sorry she could not be stronger, ending the post with the note, "Brianna, I'm coming." Since Kaylee's death, her mother has been harassed by hundreds of people, sending messages of hate blaming her for her daughter's death.
Zua Goro, January 1st, 1995, February 11th, 2022. Zua Goro was known for the love, the comfort, wisdom, and humor he offered everyone in his life. Born in Irukuro, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Africa, Goral's mother entrusted him to the care of his grandmother when he was an infant. As the war escalated in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, his grandmother kept him alive by hiding in the jungle as the marauders ravaged the northern Kivu village. The two escaped in a truck with a priest and rode into neighboring Rwanda, only to languish for more than a decade in a refugee camp until the United Nations officials cleared them for a life-saving resettlement across the world in Denver. Resettled in the Congo in Colorado as a refugee, Goral cared for his mother while graduating high school and becoming an ambassador for the street fraternity in the East Colfax neighborhood. His community remembers him spending his days listening to people's concerns and caring for their needs. On February 11th, 2022, Goral was walking in an alley below the apartment he shared with his grandmother when shots rang out and bullets struck his head and his chest. He died at the base of a telephone pole. He was 27 years old. Goral rests in eternal peace with his best friend, Eugene Kazewe, a fellow refugee from eastern Congo who, crippled by polio, was slain in a wheelchair in the same Denver alley less than 2 years ago. Before their deaths, the violence in Denver had reached the point where they were considering returning to Africa. Goral traveled to Rwanda in 2021, scouting out possibilities of a better future. In an article published after Goral's death, a friend tells a reporter, and I quote, "He is scared for his life. Compared with Eastern Congo, Denver is scarier because people just shoot. Over there, it is the rebels. We knew when they were coming, but in Denver, you don't know when it is coming, the crossfire. It is worse."
November 21st, 2003, February 12th, 2023. Xavier Wake was known as a gentle giant with a big teddy bear personality. He was a graduate of Regis Jesuit High School in 2022, where he received a scholarship through Boys Hope and played on the 303 Rugby Club with students from East High School. Xavier is preceded in death by his mother, Cynthia, who died from terminal breast cancer in 2021. After his mother's death, Xavier opened up several times. On February 12th, Xavier Wake died in a tent less than a block from the homeless youth shelter, Urban Peak. He was 19 years old. The day Xavier died, his sister went to Urban Peak to check on him and give him a key to her apartment. She knew a snowstorm was coming and was worried her brother would freeze to death. The last time she saw her brother, he appeared to be heading inside Urban Peak. She was supposed to be getting a call back from the Urban Peak supervisor, but she never got a call back. Xavier's sister tells reporters she just wants to know how this happened to her brother and to ensure his death doesn't go unnoticed. In the same article, local organizers explained to the reporter, there are few resources for those experiencing homelessness, and there's even less help available for youth like Xavier, they tell the reporter. It's the result of a broken system, and the consequence is that we have thousands of youth houseless, living on the streets of Denver, in tents, in alleyways, doubled up with friends, staying on buses throughout the night, anywhere that you can imagine. That's the reality.
If you wait for me, then I'll come for you. Although I've traveled far, I'll always hold a place for you in my heart. If you think of me, if you miss me once in a while, then I'll return to you. I'll return and fill a space in your heart. Remembering your touch, your kiss, your warm embrace, I'll find my way back to you if you'll be waiting. If you dream of me like I dream of you, in a place that's warm and dark, in a place where I can feel the beating of your heart. Remembering your touch, your kiss, your warm embrace, I'll find my way back to you if you'll be waiting. for you, and I have desire to see your face, your smile, to be with you wherever you are. Remembering your touch, your kiss, your warm embrace, I'll find my way back to you. Please say you'll be waiting. Together again, I would feel so good to be in your arms, where all my journeys end. You make a promise, and if it's one that you can keep, I'll vow to come for you if you wait for me. And say you hold a place for me in your heart, a place in your heart, a place in your heart, a place in your heart.
God invites people to create the work of creation. And this involves accepting suffering. Suffering for the sake of and because of others is temporary and not an end in itself. Identifying oneself with suffering in this way is necessary, for it is only those who are suffering themselves who will work to abolish conditions that produce suffering. The carrying out of the act of suffering cannot deny the pain of anyone. But carrying out the act of suffering means the pain can be lifted. And this is the cause for deep joy. Although suffering cannot be exchanged with that of another, it can be shared through discipleship. Tonight at this table, we sit with those who, because of the brokenness of the world, now sit with Jesus at the table of transformation. As we journey forward to meet Elias, Kaylee, Zua, and Xavier, may we experience the cross as the place where the vision for restored life takes form in God's solidarity with the ones who suffer along the margins of society. Would you pray with me? Suffering Christ, you gather us back to this table, broken and beloved. And we feel the suffering of our time in a place within our reach. And we ask your forgiveness for the moments we feel helpless, for the times we forget the power you placed upon us and the commission you offer to us. And so tonight we gather at this table, knowing you are present, knowing all those who have lost their lives sit with you, to guide us, to forgive us. May this bread and this cup embody for us the mystery of resurrection, so that when we fall into the patterns of a society that too easily forgets, we might be awakened into an eternal remembering. Amen. And so this evening for communion, I will invite you, just as you feel ready, to come forward and to eat off the table as though we were joining the Last Supper ourselves. And I'd welcome you to take a flower and to place it at a chair in honor of the people that we have spoken of tonight. And I'll also be walking around with the bread and some cups for those of you who would rather take communion in your seats. The table is open. Would you join me in prayer? God who wept, weep with us as we remember the hatred, violence, and fear that killed your holy children whom we remember today. Weep with us for those whom we lost to gunshots and beatings. Weep with us for those we lost in acts of violence between strangers, and those lost to child abuse, partner abuse, killed by people who were close, or killed by people who had power over them. Weep with us for those we lost to suicide and smoking, to recklessness, to drinking, drugs, and self-hatred. Weep with us for those we lost to preventable diseases, to tuberculosis and malaria, to AIDS and hepatitis, to mental illness, heart disease, and cancer. Weep with us for those who we lost to lives shortened by poverty and stress. Weep with us for those who died alone and isolated. Weep with us. And then remind us that for you, death is not the end of relationship with you or with each other. Bring us from this night to Easter, to celebrate and remember the beauty and diversity of gender in your people, along with the gender nonconforming Mary Magdalene, who was the first to know of your rising. Amen.
yourself feel empty. Stop for a moment, trying to push through. Allow your body to say, no more. We can only hold so much. This is not a weakness. A heart hard enough to withstand all the world's grief has already broken. Yes, it aches when we can't meet each other's needs. Yes, it hurts to feel helpless before suffering. Yes, we show up anyway with all the love and offerings we have. But as long as empires reign, they will carve their costly holes in every web of care we weave. What posture of grief